We bid you welcome who come with weary spirits seeking rest, who come with troubles that are too much with you, who come hurt and afraid. We bid you welcome who come with anticipation in your heart, who come with hope, who come proud and happy. We bid you welcome who enter this Zoom space as a seeker, who come to look for a new way, who come to explore and to learn. We bid you welcome who enter this space as a homecoming, who have already found here space for your spirit and who have found in these people a family. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you are, and wherever you travel on your spiritual journey, we bid you welcome. It has been an interesting week, a challenging week in so many ways. And it is really wonderful to be together. I'm just delighted that we have this opportunity to gather and open our hearts and share and support each other as we try to get a grasp on what is happening in our world. And one of the most restoring things that we can do is to sing. And as we were preparing for this service, this next song that we're going to sing together just seemed to rise up as the medicine, the music medicine for our aching hearts. How can I keep from singing? If you don't know it yet, you'll know it by the end. In times of challenge, there is something beyond the current lamentation. There is a transcendence. And may this song help us aspire to reconnect with that beauty, that truth, that love. So here we go. How can I keep from singing?
My life goes on in endless song about first lamentation. I hear the rhythm of far off hymn that is the new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? Although the tempest round me roars, I know the truth will live. Although the darkness round me flows, something the light to give. No storm can shake my inmost calm, nor to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To the risen sound of dungeon hall, our thoughts to God are ringing. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
Thank you to the virtual choir for putting that together. Hear these words from Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Justice of the Supreme Court. We have the oldest written constitution still in force in the world, and it starts out with these three words: we, the people. The oldest written constitution in the world. And Sharon, you have a copy of it there. Well, yeah, a copy. Yeah, there's this beautiful document. A statement that affirms that everybody matters. A government by the people, for the people. It's an aspiration that is so magnificent. President Calvin Coolidge, a Vermonter, said to live under the American Constitution is the greatest political privilege that was ever accorded to the human race. Wow. And here we are, living in this great, great ship, the Constitution, that acknowledges what we call in UUism, in Unitarian Universalism, our first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Everybody matters. Not just a few people who get to decide and run things for everyone, but the difficult wrangling of democracy to say, well, what do you need? And what do you need? And how about you? And how can we make it all work? And how can we listen to everybody? How can we aspire to create a country that doesn't trample people, but that does its best to acknowledge everyone? So much of who you are, what you're free to do, who you have become, where you've studied, where you've lived, what you've been able to accomplish or not accomplish in your life is being held by the fact that we live under this great document, the Constitution. So let us celebrate it. Let us celebrate it. Deb is going to play this beautiful video, a recording that was done by children singing, We the People, singing the Constitution. So we get to hear its words and join in the chorus of We the People. Thank you so much, Deb, for showing that for us. Isn't that beautiful? We will send a link out in our next newsletter with that in case you want to watch it again. It's so uplifting and inspiring. It's an ideal, isn't it? An ideal that everybody matters, an ideal of democracy. And democracy is not a spectator sport. Democracy is created by the people. And ideals lift us up and they make us aspire to something grand. And we don't always achieve our ideals. But the fact that we don't always achieve them in this moment doesn't make them any less important. And that aspiration, it's vital that we feel that in our hearts, that aspiration of, yes, this way of being. Where everyone matters. This revolutionary, 250 years old, and yet revolutionary way of being. It really matters. So let us continue to celebrate the power of this Constitution. And it's not a given. It's a struggle. It's a continual struggle to make sure that we live up to this ideal as best as we can. Join me, if you would, in the words for our affirmation. If you don't know them yet, you'll hear us and join in the words. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve the needs of all beings, to the end that all shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with the source of our being. Deb, would you spotlight me? Thanks. I guess I have to make noise so you can find me. There we go. Okay. Most of us will remember this past Wednesday as an important day in our lives when something significant happened that was a challenge to our democracy, a challenge to the Constitution, which we just sang the beauty of. Things happen, distressing things happen in our lives. And as we have been talking in recent weeks, there's a stimulus, whatever it is. In this case, on Wednesday, it was quite a stimulus, and it's something external to us that was happening. And then we have the power within us to respond to those externals. That is always our power. But so often we forget, we don't know we have this power. We have a knee-jerk reaction. Something happens and, ah! But we have this power. I'll share with you a quote I shared a few weeks ago, which I love. It is from Viktor Frankl. Remember who he is or who he was? Viktor Frankl survived the Nazi concentration camps. He was a Jew. He was a psychiatrist. He was imprisoned. He went from being a person of privilege and to being starving in the concentration camp. And as he observed the people around him, he came to the understanding of what I just said. Things happen, but we have inside ourselves the power to choose our response. Here's these words from Viktor Frankl. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. And in that response lies our growth and our freedom. So we are being challenged all around us. Seems like every week, if not every day, with external stimulus that are quite challenging. But it's up to us what we do with that. We can observe it when it's a negative thing, a negative stimulus, and we can put back anxiety, negativity, upset, and the situation just gets worse and worse and worse, and our sense of well-being diminishes. But we don't have to. Something can happen, and we can find within ourselves a space from which to respond. So I want to ask Sharon to share with us her experience on Wednesday.
So, for those of you who are new, I'll just tell you that we have several Friends on the Path small groups that meet regularly. And my group was going to meet this Wednesday at 3:00. And we did meet, a small but mighty group of us. And at 3:00, we were aware of what was starting to unfold in the Capitol building, and we were all in shock. And as the facilitator, I knew that to address what I needed would be what everyone needed. And we needed to do some centering and rely on, pick some practice that we had been practicing. And so Deb and Ruth and I decided we would do the Tonglen meditation, where you breathe in the tension or the dis-ease and bring it into your heart and transform it. So we consciously chose to bring in the tension from the Capitol, bring it into our hearts, and send back peace to the Capitol. And we did that for a short period of time, but it really helped me settle and be able to look at the rest of what unfolded from a more centered place. And what a blessing to be able to do that with people whom I knew well. And it was just perfect timing. So that's our story.
Thanks so much, Sharon. Thank you.
You're welcome to join us Wednesdays, 1st and 3rd at 3:00.
Yeah. Same Zoom link that we use for everything. And so Tonglen is a Buddhist practice in all of the world's religions. We're an interfaith gathering here, and we embrace the teachings of the world's religions. In the sanctuary there's a banner with all of the religions. Not all, but some of the major world religions. You mind just, Sharon, would you just tilt the so people can see the banner? Yeah, there we go. Yeah. We embrace the teachings of the wisdom, the common wisdom of the world's religions. And so Buddhism is one practice, Tonglen. What all of the spiritual practices teach us is to find this space, to not be a reactor to everything external, but to find your own, to connect with the source. There is a source, and we all have the power to connect with it. And when we do, we feel so much better. And when we don't, we feel like a ball being bounced hither and yon with no sense of ease in our own lives. So spiritual practices are so crucial anytime, but especially in this time. So we're gonna try something new. Julian will lead us in a meditation, a variation of Tonglen, using what we just heard in that beautiful song, "We the People."
So our variation is going to include the breathing in of peace. And then as we sing out, we're going to sing "We the People," that refrain that we had from the children's song. But as we sing out "We the People," we are going to send an intention with that song. So we came up with some words that we thought that we would like to send out as our intention. Our words were unity, love, harmony, justice, forgiveness, mercy, and hope. So I invite you to choose one of those as your intention, or I will also go through the list as we breathe in, and you can try each of them and see how you feel. And when we sing with an intention, we want to feel it here in our solar plexus. I'm going to ask you to sing from your solar plexus today, and you will feel a difference. So unmute yourselves. I know we say it's a little iffy to sing together unmuted, but we're going to try it. And we're all going to sing together. We're going to breathe in peace and sing. We the people. We the people. Breathe in peace. We the people. Love. Love the people. Harmony. We the people. Sing out justice. We the people. Forgiveness. We the people. Mercy. We the people. In peace. Out hope. We the We the people. Back to Melon.
Thank you, Jelaine. If you could remute yourself, and Deb, if you would spotlight me. I have a very tough question for you. Who is we? Who is we? Who do you include in your we-ness? Who is outside? When you think we, the people, who is that? And who is outside of that? Sharon has a beautiful reading for us that helps us think more deeply about who we is and how we understand who we is.
This is a reading by Mark Morrison Reed. The central task of the religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all. There is a connectedness, a relationship discovered amid the particulars of our own lives and the lives of others. Once felt, it inspires us to act for justice. It is the church that assures us that we are not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. The religious community is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, and our strength too limited to do all that must be done. Together, our vision widens and our strength is renewed.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you so much. The task of a religious community, to stretch that we-ness. Our vision's too small. Our sense of we is too small. Unless we have other people who challenge us and say, hey, what about this? Back after the election, when we had our worship service outdoors, that was kind of fun. I shared this with you. The sense of we, this nice, cozy group, bounded by a sense of we-ness. And then there's the others. Who is that for you? Who's nice and cozy in here? And who are the others? Who do you put outside of a sense of connectedness? That reading that Sharon just shared with us, the truth is we're all connected. There is nobody, there is no person who is not connected to you. The mystics have been saying this for thousands of years, and actually now astrophysics and all kinds of cutting-edge science is discovering that truth, that we are all connected. One of the principles of environmental science. There is nobody who is not your relation. And there is nothing, there is no plant, animal, being on this whole planet that is not your sibling. One of my favorite quotes, I'll put it up on the screen so you can see it. It's from a Universalist, Edwin Markham. He drew a circle that shut me out, heretic rebel, a thing to flout, but love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle that took him in. Let us have the wit to win. And in this case, winning doesn't mean domination. Winning means connection. What Sharon just read, that we are connected, we are. We just lose awareness of our connectedness. We think that we are separate, and it's an illusion. So when you're in a situation where someone is shutting you out, saying you're too different, do you have the spiritual strength to draw a wider circle and take that supposed other in? That's our task. Our task is not to seek for love, in the words of Rumi. Our task is to find and undo all the obstacles to love that we have built in our own hearts. So I am challenging us. I challenged us back at the beginning, at the time of the election 2 months ago, and I'm challenging us again to do this really hard work. Stop othering. We have to stop othering. Who is outside for you? Name that person in your own heart right now, or that group of people. And what we need to do is transcend it. Find a way to take them in. And make them sisters and brothers, because they are. Whoever the they is for you, they are. They are your sisters and your brothers. We are all on this one planet together. And in democracy, we don't get to choose and say only these citizens matter. Democracy is for everyone. So I am inviting us onto a journey in these next months to draw a wider circle, to help heal the brokenness. We have seen such brokenness in our country. Why? What's going on? In the hearts of the people who stormed the Capitol, what was going on? Do you know? Do you have any idea? That's the challenge. Find out. I want to invite us all, whoever it is for you that is other, in the next several months, I want us to take this on. I'm serious. Stop othering. Here are some words from Michelle Obama, and I want to thank Julaine for sharing this with me. Michelle wrote this week. Make no mistake, the work of putting America back together, of truly repairing what is broken, isn't the work of an individual politician or a political party. It's up to each of us to do our part. It's up to each of us to do our part, says Michelle Obama. She says to reach out, to listen, to hold tight to the truth and values that have always led this country forward. It will be uncomfortable, sometimes painful process, but if we enter into it with an honest and unwavering love of our country, then maybe we can finally start to heal, says Michelle Obama. This is an invitation for you to take that seriously and do this work. As she said, it's not a politician or a political party that's going to do it. It's up to each one of us to listen, to find out what's going on. Michelle Obama says, if we do this, then maybe we can finally start to heal. Well, I disagree with her on that one word, maybe. We will heal. We have to heal. This grand ideal of democracy, of the Constitution, has been around for 250 years, and it needs to be around for another 250. And it is up to each one of us to heal it. Not maybe to heal it, but to heal it. Do you think healing is possible? I know that it is. I know that it is. If you are in doubt that healing is possible, come in 2 weeks. Bette is going to give the worship service on healing journey, on discovering the healing power within oneself from her own life. Healing is not only possible, it's your birthright as a human being. We can do this. Yes, our country is broken. And yes, you're part of the brokenness if there's an other who you cannot have love in your heart for. It's a tall order. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's what each and every one of us has to do. He drew a circle that shut me out, heretic rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle that took him in. Love and I. The ego can't do it. I can't intellectually figure it out and analyze it. No. Love and I, me in connection with love, God, the source, this power. Yes, with that. I can heal the brokenness in myself that wants to other. And in doing so, I help heal our country. And every one of us has this power and this responsibility. Hear these words again from Rumi. This is one of my favorites. Rumi, that Persian 13th century poet that we started off with. He says this: out beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there's a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that green, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make sense anymore. Out beyond the ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. Can you find that field? Can you liberate your heart and your mind from this othering, this right and wrong? Can you find a transcendent view that can take in not only the position that you think is right, but can take in somehow even this thing that you don't yet understand? Come on this sacred journey to open yourself, stretch yourself, be a part of the expansion that can heal our brokenness. Because chances are you will find these others actually you have connection with. If you can sit down and talk, and if you can't sit and talk, especially in COVID times, go explore websites that are different from where you normally go. Try to get some sense of what's going on. There are many ways that you can stretch yourself in this. Very concrete ways, like learning about people who are different than you. We have a book group and we have a film group here at the church, and here are some of the things that we have done and are doing, and I invite you to do these, engage yourself. If you don't know the life and inspiring work of John Lewis, there's a new film, Good Trouble. Amazing man. His journey, his sacred journey of stretching himself. And I highly recommend, we're going to talk, our book next month is going to be Hillbilly Elegy, if you haven't read it yet, and it's been recently turned into a film. If you really don't understand Trump supporters, this book might open your eyes, or the film now might open your eyes. So we'll be talking about it next month. There is no other. Walk a mile in the shoes of the supposed other, and your heart will open in compassion. This is our sacred work. And it's not an intellectual exercise. It's a heart exercise. And right now we are working with the book, My Grandmother's Hands. It's about racialized trauma and a pathway to mending our hearts and bodies by Resmaa Menakem. Somehow his name isn't on there. There we go. So we have a discussion group, and it's not just discussion, but it's practices, because the trauma of our brokenness, it's not just an idea in the head, it's in our bodies. We carry it. We carry this trauma. And to heal our democracy, to heal our culture, we have to heal ourselves and heal our own brokenness. So I invite you to stretch yourself by engaging in films, books, ideas, discussions, websites that stretch you and that help you walk a mile in the shoes of someone else. But it's not enough to just read and think. The transformation that needs to happen is in our own hearts. What about your spiritual practices? As Viktor Frankl says, you got to find that pause. There's a stimulus. What's your response? Find that pause. The stimulus of the other doing something awful that you hate, and you come back with your about it. It's a pretty upsetting way to live, isn't it? There are alternatives. So someone who you used to think of as other does something, and can you have a question mark of what's going on here? And have a little space in your heart where you can react from a place of centeredness. It's not just an intellectual exercise. It's a way of being in the world. In our spiritual practices, whether it's meditation or prayer or Tonglen or being in nature or reading sacred texts, whatever the spiritual practice that helps you calm down so that you can find a bit of a space to think differently, to respond differently, to not be caught, trapped in a limited way of thinking and being. And it's really important to ask the question, who benefits from the othering? Who benefits from your thinking of those people? Who benefits? To a large extent, we are being manipulated into othering. Divide and conquer. It's an ancient technique. If people want to have dominion over others, they get the others fighting among themselves. And then it's easy to manipulate. So who benefits by my thinking, oh, those people are horrible and they're the other? They're not the other. They are my brothers and sisters. I don't want to be manipulated into othering. I want the freedom. As Mark Morrison Reed said in that The Task of Religious Community reading from Sharon, I want the freedom of connection. So I'm asking you to engage in a sacred journey in these next months, to make a pledge, to renew ourselves, to work within yourself and externally in whatever way feels proper for you, to do the work that Michelle Obama is calling us to. It starts right here. So let us sing together. We have a beautiful song that the choir prepared. It's to the tune of Finlandia, and it's a song calling us to this vision of pledging, of committing ourselves to the oneness of our humanity.
We would be one, as now we join in singing our hymn of love, to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other, to show to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that healing which finds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledged ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
As Mark Morrison Reed said, the task of religious community is to help us reconnect. We are absolutely interdependent. If we didn't believe that and know that, we know it now. In the modern world, we see how utterly interconnected we are. And to live from that knowledge, not as a theory in the head, but as an embodied way of being in the world. There's nobody that we can afford to exclude. Everyone, every being, every animal, every plant is our sibling. And when we act as though they aren't, we create disconnection. Is in reconnecting. The answer is acknowledging the reality of our interconnectedness, actually living it. I want to share a song with you that I hope will be a solace and a help for you. There is a river that flows from deep within. There is a fountain that eases all your pain. Drink from that fountain. There is a vast supply. Love is is the river that never shall run dry. This is the truth. There is a river of love. We are utterly interconnected. The river flows through you. It flows through me. It flows through nature. It flows through plants. It flows through the people who stormed the Capitol. The river of love is life itself. And when we disconnect from it, we are able to do dumb and hurtful things. And as Michelle Obama said, we need to connect. We need to come home to this connection. And it's not in the head. It's in the heart. It's in the body. And what is quite wonderful is when we connect with it. Can you feel it inside yourself right now? You can put your hand on your heart if that helps you. This river of love, it flows through you. It's the same river of love flowing through the entire planet, through the people you would think of as other. Just feel that river of love in you. And when you feel it, you know peace. It's always there. You can always tap into this river of love. It's always there. It is your birthright as a human being. It is your nature. All the focus on the externals and the tensions can cut us off. But to come back regularly through your spiritual practice, whatever it is, and then when we do this, we feel so much better. And then we can re-engage in the world from a place of love, not a place of judgment, but from a place of possibility and openness that this supposed other, how is this other also me? We can't find it with our intellect. We can find it by connecting with the wisdom of our own heart. So I want to invite you to take this on, to do this sacred journey in the next 6 months or so, to work on whoever is the other for you in whatever way is meaningful through your spiritual practice of opening a space of possibility inside your own heart, through reading books like Resmaa Menakem's book, through watching John Lewis's life, through empathizing with the Hillbilly Elegy. And come next week. Let this gathering be a touchstone for you. Next week, Joanne Gaffron Hargrove is offering the worship service along with Rajni Eddings. Rajni Eddings is an African-American young man who lives in Vermont, a very powerful storyteller, and he is going to challenge us with white skin to look more deeply. Look at our othering and find our connection. So it'll be a wonderful service. Thank you, Joanne, for organizing that. Let this be part of your sacred journey of expansion. And the week after that, as I mentioned earlier, Bet is going to talk about healing. Healing is not an option. It's possible. It's your birthright as a human. And Michelle Obama calls us to do this work of healing our nation. So come in a couple of weeks and hear that as well. And then we'll be doing book groups and films and discussions and the Friends on the Path small groups, and whatever ways in your own life. Tuesday, Raphael is doing a meditation online, Tai Chi as a spiritual practice to help you center. Julaine is going to start up the music meditations again. These are all opportunities for you to connect with yourself and with your truth. And at the end of that 6 months, let us gather in person, if we can, and virtually if we cannot. Part of what we need to do is to heal the woundedness. There are deep wounds in our country, wounds around race, wounds around power and privilege, wounds from the Civil War. And until we heal those, we will continue to perpetuate these problems. So how do we heal? Let this next 6 months be a journey of healing, of confronting these unresolved wounds inside ourselves and in our very country. We carry, it's called epigenetic trauma. We carry in our actual genes, in our cells, the trauma from the Civil War. We carry in our bodies the trauma that we have witnessed, that our ancestors have done and witnessed. Until we heal that, we keep perpetuating. But we can heal. We can heal. And this is the path I'm inviting you to in this next 6 months. Do this work. Do this work with me, with others here. Do it in your own heart, in your own meditation. Do it in your communities. And let us gather in 6 months as different people. As people who have found a way to brother and sister the former other. And what we're going to do is gather outside for those of us who live in Vermont, and also online for those of us who don't. We're going to gather at the Wethersfield Meeting House. And I mentioned a few weeks ago, the Wethersfield Meeting House is this gorgeous building in Vermont, and Sally Taylor is the president of that congregation. She's here today. Outside of the Wethersfield Meeting House is this big monument to the Civil War, and on it are the names of people who fought and who perished and who were harmed from that one little town. And it's a huge monument. And the scars of that war are still living in Wethersfield, in Springfield, in the state of Vermont, in our country, in Washington, D.C., in the hearts of the people who stormed the Capitol. We need to do this healing work. And we can, and we must. So we're going to gather in 6 months outside around that monument and do a healing ritual. Where we have traversed in these 6 months, it will be summer by then. We're going to be standing around that monument as different people who have found a way to harmonize the disharmony, as people who have found a way to stop othering. It's not optional, folks. We got to do this. We got to do this. So I'm inviting you to join us. It is not easy work, but it is beautiful work because it connects us with that river of love. When we are in fight mode, we are disconnected and it feels horrible. But when we engage in the sacred journey of healing our brokenness as individuals and as a country, it's beautiful. Not always easy, as Michelle Obama says, sometimes painful and uncomfortable for sure. That's the work of healing. That's the work of healing. But it is so beautiful because it reconnects us with that river of love, which is the truth. And it is love that will guide us through this process. It is love that will help us make this difficult journey, this worthwhile journey. We have the choir prepared another gorgeous hymn for us. Love will guide us. So let's sing that together now.
Love will guide us, peace has joined us, hope inside us, we lead the way, on the road from great beginning. Love will guide us. like angels. If you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. You are like no other being. What you can give, no other can give. To the future of our precious children. To the future of the world where we live. Love will guide us, peace has dried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from free to giving. Love will guide us through the hard times.
Thank you again to the Julaine and the virtual choir for putting that together for us. Let love guide you, dear ones, in this sacred journey of healing the brokenness in your own self and the brokenness in our country. We can do it, and we must. I want to share these closing words to this sermon from Thomas Merton. Thomas Merton, great Catholic mystic. In the end, it is the reality of personal relationships that saves everything. In the end, it is the reality of personal relationships that saves everything. Restore our relations, dear ones. Do your own work. I'll do mine. And we will gather in June, July, August, whenever we can, at the Wethersfield Meeting House, online and in person, as different people. People reconnected. People who are healers of our beautiful and broken country. May it be so.